Hello Sages! Welcome to Sage Advice for Daily Life, a column held every Monday and Friday, and it's created just for you to help support your wellness during COVID. I'm Dr. Jen Martin, and I'm in Gainesville, Florida, and I have the privilege of supporting people and creating lives that they feel more passionate about. Today I'll be discussing a few different tips to help improve motivation, productivity, and concentration during COVID. A big concern that many of my clients have been experiencing lately is, how do I stay on top of things when I just don't feel like doing it? Everything has taken so much more energy and physical and emotional energy to get things done. And so I want to be able to provide a few specific tips in each of those areas today to help you to feel more confident moving forward. There was an article I read where it talked about two different studies related to motivation. The first article talked about how when people were given the choice to work at home versus to work remotely, they found that the group that had the least motivation was the group working remotely. In the second study, they found that when people were given the choice of where to work versus were not given the choice at all of where to work, the group that had the least motivation was the group where they were not given the choice. So interestingly, all of us are working at home and we have not been given the choice. And so we're kind of in this double whammy of having less motivation. On top of that, when we are at home, there's so many more distractions and things around with making sure the kids are okay, figuring out if the laundry's ready to be dried yet, all of those things that have been impacting our productivity, concentration, and motivation as well. There was a quote I saw on Facebook this week that I loved. It said, "You are not working from home. You are at your home during a crisis trying to work." Yes, I love that so much because we cannot be holding ourselves to the same standards as we were earlier this year. Everything has changed, and so we also need to be adaptable to that as well. And if you can hear me correctly, go ahead and make sure you can like the page so that I can make sure that this is working well. Okay, great. We want to be right now experimenting with a new schedule because we're creating that new norm. And so as you're practicing new things and experimenting, make sure that you're being gentle and kind with yourself so that you know, you are doing the best that you can. And one of the things that you'll see me do a lot is actually hold myself in some way. This is a posture of self-compassion, of warmth, of love. And so if you find yourself doing that too, know that it's a very helpful thing. So let's move into some tips to talk about increasing motivation first. The first tip for increasing motivation is we want to have a separate workspace. We want to go to our workspace and have it be a place that feels inviting and something that is a place where we want to go. So put things around your workspace that feel and make you happy. This could be fresh flowers, plants, favorite pictures, anything that just boosts the mood will help you to feel better about going there. And they actually have studies that show that up to 15% of our productivity can increase when we're in a space that is aesthetically pleasing. So try that out and see how it goes. The second tip for increasing motivation is using positive reinforcement. So what that means is every time you do a behavior that you wanted to accomplish, then you get a reward for it, a prize. Excellent. Reinforcement is really key because it actually builds in the increased likelihood that we'll keep doing that. So what gets reinforced persists. For me, if I have a sticker chart, if I can check something off a to-do list, that is incredibly rewarding and motivating for me. So I feel a lot of reinforcement from that. So if that's something for you too, maybe once you get a certain number of check marks, you get a certain prize, or maybe just the act of putting the check mark off makes you feel good. Other things that can be a sense of reinforcement are things that you can look forward to later. So for example, maybe after I record this video, I'll go make myself my favorite cup of tea as a reward. Now, it's interesting to note that the opposite of reinforcement is punishment. And as humans, we are masters at punishing ourselves. We are so prone to using critical self-talk and treating ourselves pretty badly. One of the things I often say with my clients is you would never say this horrible, mean thing to anyone else. But when it comes to speaking to ourselves, we're so prone to being judgmental and sometimes just plain mean. So if you find yourself saying things like, everyone's handling this better than me, I should be doing better, what's wrong with me? Remember, that's actually not motivating. It can make us feel worse. Well, it always makes us feel worse. And it's not even giving us what we want, which is increasing motivation. The second area today we're talking about is increasing productivity. So the first tip here is we want to narrow down our to-do list to only 1 or 2 tasks per day. That's it. Interestingly, only about 17% of us can accurately estimate how much time something will take to be accomplished, which is why we're prone to having these long to-do lists, because they carry over day after day. So if we narrow it down to just 1 or 2 tasks, that can feel really rewarding because it makes us feel like, oh, that's doable, I can accomplish that. When we're creating those 1 or 2 things for our list, we want to be really specific and make it small. So instead of saying something like, I'm going to study for my finals today, I'm going to study for my exam, which can feel overwhelming and really big, we want to make it very concrete. So instead we could say something like, I'm going to study these 2 chapters, or I'm going to read these 2 chapters, or I'm going to review my notes for these 2 chapters. We also want to make sure that we are putting our hardest tasks first. Usually we're prone to want to procrastinate and avoid something, and so we leave that till the end, but by that point we're tired, we're grumpy, we don't want to do it. So start with it first. It will give you that sense of accomplishment and pride knowing that you check that off your list. Also, we want to save smaller, briefer tasks, so things that will take just a few minutes or less, we want to save that as filler time, or for times when you can be more distracted. So for example, if you're home with your family, you might find that responding to an email is something that you can do as you're watching the kids versus needing to be sitting down in complete concentration to do that. The second task for increasing productivity is to not multitask. Anytime we multitask, we reduce our productivity and we increase the amount of time we're taking to do something. So it actually means that we're less effective and it takes so much more time. So just try to avoid that. Some of the ways that we can really reduce multitasking is making sure our emails are not on some kind of notification. So turning off the notifications for emails so they don't pop up or ding when we are doing a task. Also, we want to make sure that our cell phones are on silent, and I like to actually get my phone and turn it face down. If it's face down, I don't see if there's an alert and something comes up. And also, since it's on silent, I don't hear anything either. So that's another tip to try. Our third thing today is increasing concentration. So I want you to think about, are you a morning person or a night person? Go ahead and type that in the comments. I am definitely a night person. My husband will tell you, once I wake up in the morning, I need at least an hour of sitting there on the couch doing nothing before I start to really wake up and feel like a human again. Versus him, the moment his eyes open, he's ready to jump out of bed and be productive. We're very different in that way. So for you, what is the time of day when you're most energized and you're most productive? We want to have you put your big tasks in this time frame. So again, use your strengths, use and do what works best for you. Before, maybe you were on a schedule where you were working 9 to 5, where now you have more flexibility to choose something that really fits you more. So for example, do those big hairy tasks during the time of day that you're most productive. So if you are a morning person, maybe before the kids have school time or are even awake, that's when you're getting done some of those big projects. So that later when you're at work time, then you can be doing some of those smaller tasks that don't need your full concentration. It's also important to make sure that when you are setting your work hours, you have an end time. So this means that no matter what, I know that I'm always ending my work by this time of day. This is really difficult to do because there's always one more thing we can do. I can reply to one more email, I can just finish one more thing on this project. But make sure you honor yourself and be really strict about this end time. This is going to really help increase a sense of balance, to help you have that longevity. Remember, we are running a marathon right now through this process, not a race. So be very, very kind and flexible with yourself in terms of building in lots of time to rest. So that is a good transition to my second tip for this section, which is building in breaks. Anytime we focus our attention on any task for too long, we become mentally fatigued. There really is a decline in performance and in neural fatigue when we are working for too long. What we find is that when we don't take breaks, it really impacts us. So they found that studies are saying that when we actually have a lot of breaks, it improves our mood, it improves our overall well-being, and it improves our performance and lastly our attention. So many of these things just automatically get improved from making sure we take those breaks. Now, in some studies, researchers are finding that elite performers work up to 90-minute chunks. Once they hit a 90-minute period, they automatically take a long, significant break. So try to make sure that you are very, very careful about not working for more than 90 minutes without a major break at that point. So we're going to work for 90 minutes and then take 30 minutes off, for example. Now, during that 90-minute chunk that we're working, we want to be building in what's called micro breaks. A micro break is something that's a time that's about maybe 3 minutes or shorter. And during that time, we want to be doing anything that is not work related. So for example, if I only have a few minutes between client sessions, if I feel like I'm needing a break, I might just play on my phone, I might find the dog and pet him, I might throw a ball with him outside, or just take a quick lap around the block. But again, something really fast. The key to a micro break is it's something that's relaxing, or it could be something that's socializing, or it could be something that's a cognitive break. They find that if you actually eat a snack for your micro break, that's not as rejuvenating, so FYI. Lastly, another study I read showed that morning breaks actually restore more energy than afternoon breaks. Interesting. So make sure throughout the day you're building in those breaks. I think for most of us, we're prone to thinking, well, I only need a break once I've been working and earned it. But no, you need a break throughout the whole process. So those are my tips for today. I'll be posting an image later about the different areas that you can pass along. Go ahead and leave a comment today about what you want to be implementing this week. And also, if you've got any ideas for a video coming up, let me know. But I'm excited to see you all on Monday. What I'll be doing is a guided meditation of what's called a body scan. This is hands down one of the most effective relaxation techniques that I talk to clients about because it's so effective in improving sleep, in decreasing muscle tension, and just creating a greater sense of calm and well-being. So I look forward to doing that with you on Monday, Sages. Take care. Bye.